the Metro is diverse. We all have different stories, pasts, identities, lives. And that's what defines us. So when something is able to bring everyone together to believe in, it creates a bond that cannot be broken. Together, however different we may be, we have painted the Metro red.
Please raise your scarves and welcome your New York Red Bulls!
All of us, the fans, the staff, the players, the fighters, the conductors, the artists, the veterans, and the hungry ones. We all believe in the same team, the same club. And that's what makes this special.
In all these moments, we've always stuck together. We're not looking back now, man.
I am red, czerwony, rojo, rouge, coquinos, vermelho, rojo. I am red.
We love, we fight with passion for glory.
New York is most certainly red. I don't think anyone can argue that.
We are red together. Make 2017 red. Renew today.
For the 2016 USL regular season champions, New York Red Bulls 2, in their final home game facing off against Canadian opposition FC Montreal for the third time this season. David Goss here on NewYorkRedBulls.com, joined by a former player of both these sides, Heath Pierce. This year testimonial USL match. We're very excited about what we're going to see. Let's start with New York Red Bulls 2, though. They've set already a couple records. They won the regular season title. They have a better road record than FC Montreal has record total on the season. It's been a pretty special year for John Wolyniek's team.
Absolutely. What's even more important than their road record is they started to pick up those wins at home. And so I expect them to be strong again today. Like you said, they've already broken a few records. They're on pace to set a few more for the season. So I'm excited to see them come out today and perform.
For FC Montreal, it was a slow start to the season, but 5-1-1 in their last 7 games. So this is a game they come into. They've already lost to New York Red Bulls twice, but they have some confidence coming into this building, playing in such a fine facility.
Yeah, 5-1-1 in your last games. It doesn't matter how you were earlier in the season. Obviously, it's been less than ideal in terms of their record, but 5-1-1 in their last game shows that they're rounding into form. It shows that they're developing. It shows that they're starting to implement things that they've been trying to do earlier in the year, except they haven't had the success until now.
For a young team like New York Red Bulls too, for young teams anywhere, once you win something, even though the season's not over, how do the players react to it? How is Coach Wolenek supposed to keep them going towards the playoffs?
It's difficult to say how players will react to this. Obviously, you've won something, so you're excited. You don't want to get caught in that moment too long. You want to celebrate that and know that it's just one step along the way, and then get back to focusing as you head towards the playoffs.
19-3-6 are the New York Red Bulls too this season. 7-19-2 are FC Montreal, but as I mentioned, 5-1-1 in the last 7 games. Now another piece of this game, this will be the final regular season game here at Red Bull Arena. It will be the last time as well that we are going to use VAR, video assistant referees. They've been used over the last 3 home games. Heath, that's been another part of what we've been watching out for. We talked to Coach Wolenek a little bit about it before the game, saying it's just something everyone keeps asking about, the players keep learning about. It's been interesting to see it happen so far, but it hasn't had huge effects.
It hasn't, but like you said, the players are talking about it a lot because it's the things we've been talking about for years. It's what everybody's been saying, imagine if, and now we're starting to get that technology and be able to implement that could really make differences in matches is so important.
So our last head referee, Hilario Grajeda, moves out to the video assistant referee, and Soren Stoica, who was the video assistant referee in the last match, he now will be the head official with the ability to use that replay if he sees fit here tonight. 7 p.m. kickoff, perfect weather as we move into fall and winter. Now Red Bulls 2 already know they're going to host whoever they face in the playoffs. They're not quite sure who it'll be yet, but they have that ability to host all the way through to the USL Championship game if they're able to get there. 2 teams coming out on the field. Kyle Rainish leading his team out for this one. He has the opportunity to play with New York Red Bulls too. He has been one of the 3 main goalkeepers on this team. Some news going on with this team. Big injury with Junior Flemings being out for the season, the second leading goal scorer on this side, as well as Aaron Long being loaned up to the New York Red Bulls MLS side. Derek Etienne Jr. there making his Major League Soccer debut on this field last week against DC United. He's going to be one of the keys to this game. We're going to go down to the field for American and Canadian anthems, and we'll be back here with all your first half action. Pre-game festivities out of the way, 2 teams out on the field, and we are ready to go. And let's check in on the starting lineups for these 2 teams. Some changes for both sides. Amadou Dia coming in from the Major League Soccer side after being traded for Cameron Porter, as well as a couple other exciting players, Michael Salazar and Anthony Jackson Hamel up top. The big name that everyone's been watching out for, Balu Tabla, the 17-year-old Canadian Player of the Year. He's played against AS Roma as well as for the Canadian U20 team in England. Rumors about him in multiple Premiership teams. So one of the players to watch out for. Charbonneau as well. Yannouk, number 66 at right back, has been one of the leading minutes and appearance players for this team. FC Montreal, we mentioned, over these last 7 games on their best run of form throughout the season. Maxime Cropu, the goalkeeper that a lot of people thought might replace Evan Bush last week in the MLS game. For New York Red Bulls too, Kyle Rainish comes into the team. Kevin O'Toole, Tim Schmoll, Zach Carroll, and Tyler Adams will play at right back. Adams playing mainly in central midfield with this team. It allows David Najem to move back into midfield alongside Dan Metzger. And the 2 guys who have really powered this team offensively, especially with the loss of Junior Flemings, Vincent Bezecourt and Florian Velo on the wings. Brandon Allen, the leading goal scorer up top. And Derek Etienne Jr., we mentioned, made his MLS debut last week, got called up to the Haitian 30-man roster. He's a player in great form. You can see him there leading the talk for this team.
It's exactly what you want from a guy like that. He's had a little success recently, and he's leading this team. He's gone out, he's gone into tough environments, he's played well, and now here he is coming back to here. And now you want to see him implement what he's learned from those situations into this team and not only lead by example, but also lead vocally.
Derek Etienne Jr., one of the leading assist men on this team. He's had some unbelievable runs of form. Coach Wolenek leading this team out. Philippe Oulefoy on the other side for FC Montreal, the head of their youth program. Now, these 2 teams, both Major League Soccer affiliates in the USL, but very different styles of building their team. New York Red Bulls, too, a much older team, players that have, a lot of them played in college. Guys like Derek Etienne Jr., who played some time in college. This FC Montreal team, you have some familiarity with the way they're set up. A much younger team, a team more the top of their youth academy rather than a professional team.
That's exactly it. This is the last stage of their youth academy. If you don't make it at a certain age, you move on to wherever the game takes you. But they have a very different philosophy in the sense that these are mostly young guys. These are very unexperienced. They are very raw, as opposed to the New York Red Bull 2 side, who have some college experience, you have some professional experience, and that mix that you do need for these long USL seasons.
So we are kicked off here, New York Red Bulls 2 against FC Montreal. FC Montreal getting a little punch of veteran play, though, in this one. We mentioned Crepeau, as well as Jackson. Michael Salazar, first-round draft pick this year from Belize for Montreal Impact, is in this side, and Amadou Dia. So a few more experienced players than normal for this FC Montreal team as they battle against the regular season champions, New York Red Bulls 2. They set the record for points in a season. They will play 2 more games than Orlando City did in 2014, but at 28 games, the same as Orlando City, they were 1 point better. As Derek Etienne Jr. is in quickly here. He slots it to the side and just misses the far post. Almost an opening minute goal there for New York Red Bulls too.
It's a great spark from the team. Derek Etienne Jr. showing that he's come here to play. He's not resting on the fact that he's playing with the first team and getting some minutes with them. Gets a good look on goal. I'm sure he wishes that he had a second chance to do that again, because he did get a good look on the back post, but ball went wide.
Curls that one just wide. Etienne Jr. there trying to get off to a quick start. He played on Thursday against Allianz in the Champions League. He played in the other 2 Champions League games as well, including one down in El Salvador, in an unbelievable environment. What a great experience for the young players. Charbonneau plays that ball down the line, looking for Balu. Zach Carroll stepping into that center back role, as Aaron Long, we mentioned, loaned up to New York Red Bulls, playing 90 minutes against Allianz on Thursday in the Champions League. And we've seen a marked difference when Aaron Long's been on the field and when he's not. And Coach Wolenek called him his most consistent defender. So now this team's going to have to figure out a way to win without one of their keys in their back line.
I mean, you got to show depth, right? You've had a whole season to start to figure it out. He hasn't played every single match, and they've been able to get results. Our biggest worry early on was, can they win at home? They were great the whole year on the road. They started to find that form, and now, without long, they're going to have to find an identity and a style of play, and other players are going to have to step up.
Tim Schmoll, one of those guys who will play in that central midfield. Justin Bilyeu, draft pick out of SIU Edwardsville, who played 75 minutes in midweek in the Champions League. Also on the bench, a guy that can step in at fullback and potentially at center back if needed. Tyler Adams in the battle on that far side there with Salazar. Adams playing a lot of time at fullback with the U.S. Youth National Team, a residency player with the U17 squad, but he's been mainly a central midfielder for New York Red Bulls too. Getting a chance to return to that fullback position. On the ball now down that right side. Adams driving forward, finds Bezecourt with a little bit of space. The tackle put on there well by the captain, Belia Guate. Allen trying to cut in field. Etienne Jr.'s touch a little long, but he's able to keep possession. New York Red Bulls, too, starting to camp out now. And the FC Montreal attacking third. Already one good look in these opening few minutes. Can they find a second one? Bezecourt, he tries to flick that one over the top. Crépeau with the touch. New York Red Bull 2, already 2 golden chances here, just 5 minutes into play.
That was a great one-time touch from Bezecourt, but fantastic save from Crépeau, not to take any credit away from him. But you can see already how deep FC Montreal is sitting in their box. They're sitting 8, 9 guys sitting on top of the box. They need to push out a little bit further, push the teams up, move the lines when they get a chance.
New York Red Bull 2, another chance down this right side. That cross blocked away. Metzger able to close on it and keep it alive. Metzger expecting someone behind him. He turns it over. Jackson now turning, looking up for Salazar. Salazar one-on-one with the young homegrown player, Tyler Adams, the first ever signing in New York Red Bulls 2 history last year. Now an MLS signing. Loaned back down. Heath, we've seen Tyler play a few times, but it's exciting to see him at fullback because he's got sprinter speed, but at central midfield, you don't really get to show that off. Should be interesting to see him at right back.
We just saw that a few minutes ago, him driving up the right sideline, and he looks so comfortable on the ball. And that's what you want from your midfielder. But if the long-term strategy is that they see him as an outside back, let him get those reps in that position. To have a guy as athletic as he is, as fast as he is, let him attack from the back.
Long ball over the top. Jackson takes the shot. It's blocked by Adams. Velo trying to push it back the other way. First good look of the game for FC Montreal.
And the other thing with Tyler Adams is you want to see him in these positions. You want to see him playing against good wingers and challenge himself from that spot defensively because he needs to get those reps as well.
Charbonneau switches the field to Jackson. Jackson's had phenomenal form with this team, 9 goals on the season. He's really the only center forward that FC Montreal has as an option. So when he's been with the MLS side, they've struggled at times to have that physical presence down the middle. Etienne Jr. looking for some space down the side, handled well by Temgia.
Hamel's a guy that he was a young player starting to get reps with the first team when I was playing in Montreal, and he's a big body, good hold-up striker. His biggest weakness, though, is the way he fades in and out of games. He's not engaged at all times. If he gets touches regularly, then he can be extremely dangerous. And he's had that success this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how the Red Bull 2 defense handles a big body up top.
Tim Schmoll and Zach Carroll, 2 players. A little bit of size, but we've seen strong forwards bother them at times this season, so it should be a good matchup between those two. New York Red Bulls 2 in the first matchup, May 21st of this year, had a late winner, Junior Flemings, in the 89th minute, getting the winning goal, and then on July 9th, a 4-2 win, both of those in Montreal for New York Red Bulls 2. Brandon Allen with a hat trick. Junior Fleming's tacking one on, as well as Jackson runs onto this one, and Kyle Rainish is out to take it clean for his first touch of the game.
That's well done from Kyle Rainish to come out, engaged with the game, knows that that's his first opportunity to really have to make a play, and he does exactly what he needed to do.
Bezecourt picking that one up from Metzger's pass. Balu and Charbonneau for Montreal, both scoring in that 4-2 loss as well. Bezecourt clips this one over. Brandon Allen gets the touch, and it's knocked away there by Mayer. Montreal under a little bit of pressure here in the opening 10 minutes, but so far bend but not breaking for this defense. You mentioned the 50 goals conceded. New York Red Bulls 2 right now on 55 goals on the season. If they score 2 more over the course of the season, they'll set the record for most goals in a USL season over Orlando City of 2014. So you'd assume we'd see goals, which probably means it's going to be a 1-0 again.
Yeah, you'd assume so. But it's interesting. I actually spent a few days training with the FC Montreal Academy kids at one point. I was coming back from a little hamstring knock, and I remember
Bezecourt takes the free kick, and it's headed back out. Etienne Jr. trying to get a second look at it, and his shot goes wide.
And I remember them putting all the focus on the way that they played, the style that they played, and they didn't put really any emphasis on the defensive side of the game, which I found kind of inspiring, but also kind of a cause for alarm because, as you see, and as we've spoken about already, they've given up 50 goals this year and played with relatively the same team. Yes, a young team and an experienced team, but they should be putting more of an emphasis on how that back line plays, not just how they play out of the back when they have the ball, but also how they move and shift. And you can see already there's not a whole lot of leadership. That is one of the downsides of not having experience, is that team is dropping deeper and deeper, and the game's just started.
Mayer trying to play it back to Crépeau. Dangerous ball across the box. Charbonneau gets it back wide. Tim Guilla's ball is knocked out. A little bit of chaos on the back line. Now, some people would argue that you can develop what you develop and then you can sign players otherwise to fill out a team. Do you not feel that way?
It's not that I don't feel that way, but wouldn't you want these academy guys to be your next signings in the first team? Don't you want... if I'm FC Montreal, to find local kids and start to teach them the style of the way my center backs played. Yes, those center backs have been brought in from elsewhere, but emulating that style, which is hard-nosed tackling. They got Laurent Simon, a guy who's very good on the ball and also aggressive defensively, had great success, played Champions League, World Cup, things like that. I mean, they should be watching that, but it seems like when I remember it as player, the focus was on the style of play, keeping the ball possession-oriented, but very attacking-minded, and kind of missed a few of those principles that you need for development.
Balu Tabla able to force that turnover. He's got options out wide, gets it out wide to Salazar. Salazar with the early shot, and he flashes it over the top.
But I should say that I was only there for a couple days, so I can't discuss what their academy's doing, and that was a couple years ago. But
Heath Pierce's book on it is about 17 volumes long.
Yeah, but I do think that there was a little piece missing because it was heading towards a game the week that I was training with them, and there wasn't any emphasis on how their defensive shape would come out.
Michael Salazar with that shot. First-round draft pick out of University of California, Riverside. He's a native of the area of New York, although originally born in Belize, and a Belize international with 4 caps so far. Diaz pass is blocked by Adams. Adams now with a few options in front of him. He chooses to slow play up. Jesse Marsh was asked earlier in the season with injuries to the first team whether or not he would give Adams the opportunity to play at right back. Chris Duval getting hurt, then more injuries at center back, forcing Duval when he finally did come back to play in the center back role. Salzizo getting some time as well. He never actually used Adams there, mainly kept him in central midfield. He's only 17 years old. How tough is it to switch positions at that age when you're trying to coach them in, or is it easier?
It's definitely harder because you're not only are you taking a step up in terms of level that you're playing against, but you're playing a position where tactics start to have a lot more to do with it. At certain levels that he's played at now, he can rely on the athletic side of the game. He can rely on the fact that maybe he's more developed or faster, quicker than other players. But at that level, everybody's quick, everybody's fast, and the moment they smell that weakness, whether you're tactically not in the right position, they will punish you. And so it is a bit of a risk, but you do want to start to rep him into those matches whenever you get the chance, but it's not as easy as it looks sometimes.
Adams getting more and more time playing at central midfield. Now this chance to play right back. As Carroll steps into the midfield. Bezecourt lays it off. Adams goes by Dia, plays it down the line to Velo. Velo with the early cross, and he's not able to find anyone. And that floats into the hands of Crépeau. We mentioned off the top, though, but Junior Flemings, who has been a huge part of this team, a Copa America call-up for Jamaica, 6 goals and 4 assists so far this season, and he is out for the rest of the season with a knee injury, the 20-year-old from Kingston, Jamaica. So Velo and Bezecourt and Zumana Simpara are going to have much more of a role offensively for this team if they're going to make a USL Championship Cup run over the next few weeks. We mentioned the depth with Aaron Long and how they're going to have to prove it. That's another place. 2 big losses, really, for a team that had such a great season. They've rotated their lineup, but those 2 guys have been pretty consistent for them, and now they're going to have to find a way to fill in for them.
Yeah, but every single player that's on this roster thinks they should be playing. I'm sure after the game, if they don't get any minutes, they're saying, man, I should have played. I'm good enough to play. And now they're getting the chance to do so.
Salazar cutting into the box. Can he get a shot away? Just wide of the near post. Salazar, a threat down that left side for the second time in this game.
Yeah, it's a great look. He cuts in. And that's, again, that's the type of positions you want Tyler Adams to be in. You know that this guy is right foot cutting in on his strong foot. Keep him out to the line, and those are the types of reps that he's going to have to learn from. Because if he gets a good look there and he does score, and that's at the that's playing at one step higher, playing under Jesse Marsh, maybe you're getting subbed. Maybe you're getting subbed at halftime. So this is the right place to be getting those types of situations where you're not paying a costly price.
Coming down there, getting beat in field and letting that shot off. You have to think Kyle Rainish is going to mention that to him at some point. Rainish, by far the most experienced player on the roster today, 32 years old. This team has an average age of just over 23 years old throughout this season.
It's so important having they've had it all season long with the different goalkeepers that have been playing, whether Ryan Mara or Kyle Rainish now, of having that experience from the back line. That's your first leader, right? That's able to move those players around along your back line and tell them where you want them to be, but also give them compliments, also make them feel good knowing that there's a guy with this much experience behind you saying you're doing a good job. It goes a long way.
Schmoll able to win that header over Jackson. Metzger looking for Allen over the top. Temgia able to control it and trying to play it out of the back. Amadou Dia able to get it under control. And the foul. Simple call there for Soren Stoica. Don't forget to go to uslsoccer.com for all of your news, updates, scores on USL. With the playoffs coming up, this is the second to last game of the season. The standings starting to come into view. Orlando City B currently in the 8th seed. Looking like they will be the team that New York Red Bulls 2 would host. The rest of the standings coming together. Louisville City and FC Cincinnati look to be fairly locked in at the 2nd and 3rd seed, with Richmond and Charleston and Rochester right behind them fighting over the standings in those last few spots. Go to uslsoccer.com to find all the streams, scores, updates, and news throughout the end of the season. Crapo on the bench last week with Evan Bush suspended in MLS, backing up Eric Kronberg. Returning to FC Montreal now for this game.
Crapo was another guy that was training with the first team when I was up there. Extremely talented. He's in his early 20s now. Wants to start getting minutes at a higher level. I spoke to him a little bit before the game. He's supposed to spend some time this offseason abroad, getting some more experience. I know that he was in Germany last offseason and really wants to challenge himself and really has the talent to do so. He's good with the ball at his feet.
Etienne Jr. looking for Bezecourt and Crapo right on.
And was a guy who, in training, for as young as he was, 18, 19 years old at the time, didn't have any problem telling older, experienced guys around him where he wanted them and organizing the team, which is a great sign for a young goalkeeper.
Red Bulls 2 force a turnover off the high press. And the Gem with the shot, and Crapo punches it wide. Out for a New York Red Bull 2 corner kick.
It's a great look there. Outnumbering the Montreal defense. Keeps driving up the middle, forcing a guy to commit. He doesn't. Eventually gets a good look on frame, and it's a great save from Crapo on his left side.
David Najem spending most of this season with New York Red Bulls 2 at right back, getting a chance to return to his more natural midfield position. Looks like Bezecourt will take this corner kick out on the far side. The left-footed service swinging in. Won easily by Jackson. Metzger with the second shot, and it goes off the face of the defender and out for another corner kick coming for New York. New York Red Bulls 2 putting on the pressure early on. They had a few good early looks. Michael Salazar's had 2 good looks. But the one thing we've seen from FC Montreal over the last 7 games, including here today, is New York Red Bulls 2 get ready to take the short corner. Looks like Etienne Jr. will put it into play back to the feet of Metzger. Long shot coming, and that one's blocked. The Gem keeps possession to the academy player, Kevin O'Toole. O'Toole already 1 goal so far this season. Velo is able to beat 2 defenders. He puts it in. It's alive in the box. Goalie out of position, and Brandon Allen's able to push it home. Brandon Allen, the leading goal scorer on this team, and he stretches that lead one more. 14 goals on the year. New York Red Bulls 2 take an early 1-0 lead.
Didn't have to do a whole lot there. Obviously, the ball bounced back off of a rebound from Crapo, but he's a goal scorer, and he's in the right place at the right time, did just enough, and I think if you asked him, does he really care how that goes in? Absolutely not.
Brandon Allen, the all-time leading scorer in Georgetown history. His first year as a professional soccer player, 14 goals now for New York Red Bulls 2, the leading goal scorer on the #1 team in the USL.
It's a great thing having a striker's touch, right? I don't think I would have finished that.
Well, it's
simple.
simple.
It got a little deflection there.
He just aimed for the inside of Amadou Diaz's calf, and then it rolls in with the goalkeeper out of position. It's exactly how he plans it in training. Florian Velo won't get an assist for that one, but a great play by Velo down the wing to open that space up for the eventual goal.
Oh, yeah, got the guy to leave his feet, jump, biting on that cross, got behind him. Could have actually drawn a foul there, stayed on his feet, seeing that there was an opportunity to maybe get a little bit more out of that and put in a good cross, forced the goalkeeper to make a decision, and that rebound is what caused the goal.
Brandon Allen playing very well for New York Red Bulls 2 this season. Not a lot of space in the first team right now with Bradley Wright Phillips, of course, on pace for a record-breaking 3-year span in Major League Soccer. Bezecourt with the back heel. You got to think 56 goals into this season, a record-setting amount of wins and points. There's a little bit of confidence on the field for this New York Red Bulls 2 side.
I think there's a ton of confidence. Guys are getting matches with the first team, right? Guys, they're proving that the system is working, and that's got to be, as much as the results are, just as much of a motivator for these guys, knowing that they're knocking on the door because of their performances in these matches.
Schmoll is able to clear that one. The shot there of John Wolenek. 2 seasons now for New York Red Bulls 2. A playoff appearance last year, a home playoff win. Going to the Eastern Conference semifinals now in his second year. A USL championship with the roster turnover they've had, the losses and additions that have constantly come in and out. You got to tip your hat to what Coach Wolnick's been able to do over these last 2 years. Balu gets into the box. He shows why he's such a big prospect. And the shot eventually knocked away, and it'll go out for an FC Montreal corner kick.
Yeah, a lot of this credit goes to Wolnick. What he has to manage with every week, from players coming down, players coming back from injury, young players, unsigned players, signed players. It's a very challenging task, and he's turned them into a really, really good team.
Jaris with the corner kick. It'll bounce out to the far side. Great block there in the midfield twice now by Goyate. And it'll be a free kick in favor of New York. But what I was going to say right before the goal, Heath, was good energy between these two teams. We've seen open play, good end-to-end stuff. It's a high level of ability, not maybe the most experience in each player, but the physical ability on the ball, the athleticism on both sides is very impressive. If you think about what 18 to 21-year-olds would look like 10 years ago in the United States.
Yeah, these guys are all a huge step ahead of where I was at that age, just in terms of...
I wasn't, trying to knock you.
I know what you're getting at here. No, but they are. These are grown men. These are guys that are getting professional reps in what didn't exist just a few years ago for these young players. So it's a huge opportunity for them to develop and continue to take steps towards achieving their long-term professional goals.
And, so many examples of young players getting opportunities. Tyler Adams played over 1,800 professional soccer minutes now at 17 years old. The future of U.S. soccer for sure, both as a player and as an example of maybe what these systems can produce going forward. We saw FC Dallas, of course, winning the U.S. Open Cup, signing a 16-year-old in Paxton Pomical over the last few weeks, who they expect to be a difference maker for them. And, of course, the Montreal Impact. It's one of the teams with a number of homegrown signings on their team, making major impacts in their first team. No pun intended.
Yeah. Well, the reality is it's no system is a perfect system for every player. You just want to provide these players with the opportunity to develop and grow as players. And this has been a perfect environment for both FC Montreal as well as Red Bull 2. And I think it's only going to get better. Obviously, Montreal have a very different system in the way that they're building it out in terms of being an academy, and it has much more limitations, I think, than what the Red Bull 2s are doing now in terms of having a mix of experience on the field and challenging for what I believe are championships and trophies.
And you think Montreal would say if the players produced come through at a high level, maybe it doesn't matter as much to them what the record is like when they're together as FC Montreal, where for New York Red Bulls, it's the same thing, but they've been able to somehow create success at this level, while Alex Mule, 5 starts for this team. He's now a first-team starter. Tyler Adams, Sean Davis, a player who's moved up to that next level. We already mentioned Aaron Long. So a lot of guys getting experience here, being successful here, and then being successful at the next level.
I think for both teams, you have Jackson Hamel that's with FC Montreal, and he's broken into the first team at the Impact for the last couple of years, and then now we're seeing it also with the Red Bulls. Both of the philosophies work. I just don't know which one is right or wrong. I don't think either of them is right or wrong. If the results don't matter, which is very much a philosophy that exists in development around the world, and I think it is a good one. I do think that it is a balance, though. You don't want it to become a demoralizing thing for players to just play against teams that beat them all the time. You want to have enough quality on the field to be able to challenge in every match, even if you don't actually get the results.
Charbonneau trying to get that one out of his own half. He draws a foul. You've played in a few different countries overseas. From what you've seen from development over there, what's been most successful in other countries? What's the setup been like that you've seen working very well?
It's guys getting games at every level. If you're not playing in your first team in the first division, you need to be playing in the second division. There's no perfect place for a player to develop. It's just, or there's no blueprint for success. Each place is going to offer something different and unique for guys. Maybe it's being closer to home is what makes sense, or maybe it's being further from home that makes sense. It's just finding that right balance and blend of what it's going to take for a guy to be able to succeed to put the game first and respect the game. And when I say respect the game, I mean train hard, kind of live the lifestyle that it takes to be a professional.
Get your sleep, eat right, things like that I think a lot of young players don't realize. Every facet of your life goes into what you do. Etienne Jr. able to keep this one in. Halfway through this opening half, New York Red Bulls 2 leading 1-0 over FC Montreal. The final home game of the regular season, New York Red Bulls 2. USL regular season champions, they will host at least one postseason game. The official details of that still coming. You can go to uslsoccer.com for that. You can also check out @NikeSoccer. Nike Soccer, the official partner of the USL. You can go to @NikeSoccer or nike.com/soccer. The Gem dropping deep to pick this ball up. The Gem's brother, a star at Akron University, the college soccer season kicking back off. A lot of the players you see here for New York Red Bulls 2 spent time in college. Chance to watch those games and maybe check out the next crop of stars. Bezecourt pushes it wide to Velo. Velo towards the far post. Crépeau gets a touch to it, and Salazar able to control it and now move the other way. Maxime Crépeau's had an active game so far, Heath, and Velo once again forcing him to make a decision.
Yeah, he's putting that between the back line and that goalkeeper is such a dangerous spot that it freezes both of them looking at the other one saying, are you going to take it? Am I going to take it? And it forces Crépeau to come out and make a good save. But that's how we saw that first goal scored off that rebound, and it could have been another goal again.
FC Montreal on the bench. They still have Alessandro Rigi, their leading goal scorer from last season. He's got 6 goals so far this season, so a player that they can turn to if they need to later in this game, as well as Jimmy Sano, who was USL Team of the Week, as FC Montreal down a man, tied 1-1 against Charleston last weekend at home. He came off the bench for a stunning goal to get them a 2-1 victory with the man down, as Etienne Jr. is called offside on that far side. Zachary Secunda as well, another big-time player on the bench in this game for FC Montreal. If they look that way, FC Montreal, they've had an adventurous season with injuries to the Montreal Impact as well as on their own side. They had a game where they only had 2 players on the bench at one point at Harrisburg City Islanders, and they got a victory in that game when wins were pretty hard to come by for this team. Now at full strength, that we mentioned the run that they've been on. Balug able to cut into the middle for a little bit of space. Long shot coming here over the top of the goal. Rainish can't get a touch, but it goes out for a goal kick.
But doesn't it seem like that's always the case, is when you have nothing to lose is when you tend to perform best, take the pressure off, and you're just like, you know what, we're not supposed to win this game. We haven't been winning. We don't even have the players. And that's when you tend to play your best. Even in my own career, I tended to play my style or at my maximum potential when I took some of the pressure off me and felt like there was nothing to lose. Unfortunately, it wasn't very often that there was no pressure. So I guess it wasn't very often that I played my best.
Heath, you're having a tough game so far.
Just so.
Ball goes wide to Velo. We are going to get back to your career, don't we?
Yeah, it's okay.
We'll
it's
have
okay,
more time to talk about it. Bezecourt looks to lay it off. It's stolen away. New York starting to camp out a little bit more. Montreal getting touches to it, but it seems like the second ball continually falling to New York Red Bulls too as this game wears on. This game, of course, as all other USL games, including the playoffs, live, free, and in HD on the USL YouTube channel. The USL Championship will air in primetime and live as well on ESPNU. Check out uslsoccer.com for all of that news.
You can see now with the top line, there's 3-4 guys that are sitting into those pockets, and they need to start mixing up the game a little bit. They're good when they get into those spaces like they're in now, right now, and coming back, checking back, and then also stretching behind the back line and keeping that FC Montreal team guessing defensively. Do I step out or do I cover the space behind me? And I think that's where they're going to start to find their opportunities to go forward and get goal-scoring chances.
Velo taken down from behind by Jaris. So another set piece coming here for New York. It looks like Schmoll and Carroll moving forward, along with Allen and Velo. Vincent Bezecourt scored off a free kick, a little bit closer and more central last week at the death to save this 8-game unbeaten streak for New York Red Bulls 2. New York have won 7 of their last 8. That draw against Rochester, the lone blemish, as Bezecourt puts it in, and the header at the near post by Velo. If it's not Velo setting up Bezecourt, it's the other way around. And that one goes deep into the seats here. Montreal Impact facing off against Philadelphia Union. That's not true. I don't know why I just said that. Montreal Impact are playing tonight against a soccer team in Montreal. And New York Red Bulls 2 are up in Toronto. New York Red Bulls, and they will play against TFC tomorrow. New York Red Bulls bringing out New York Red Bulls 2 last week against DC United to present the USL regular season shield to
Montreal's playing New England, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah. They are losing 1-0 in the 5th minute.
I follow Kai Kamaro's social media.
Heath Pierce with the cutting-edge information and David Goss with incorrect information. Florian Velo able to force a turnover. Salazar with the block, though. Jackson looking back the other way. He rips a shot. It deflects right back to him. Belliand stepping into the midfield. And now Temgia able to keep this ball alive. FC Montreal putting on a little bit of pressure. Salazar out wide, one-on-one with Adams. Some help coming from New York Red Bulls 2. Space to shoot here on the top of the box. They get it away and easily taken by Rainish. FC Montreal, you can see the individual ability as they step into midfield. Heath hasn't been as cohesive maybe as what we've seen from New York Red Bulls 2 so far in this game.
You can tell there's a lack of experience on the field in terms of when a player gets the ball in X position, where am I supposed to be? Where are my runners?
Bezecourt forcing the turnover. And FC Montreal handles that one well. Mayer coming away with the tackle.
The upside to these games, okay, so where am I supposed to be at any given position based on where the ball is and where the other players on the field are, right? The good thing about these games is no matter how they end, you get an opportunity to go back and look at the tape and use those examples to say, hey, if he's driving out with the ball, you need to be here. Or if this guy looks up, you need to be making this run. And that's where you start to learn that. It's hard in real time to implement that or teach that. That's what the game tape is for. That's what training days are for.
O'Toole down the line towards Etienne Jr. Etienne Jr., an academy player on loan last year with New York Red Bulls 2. This year, a full-time professional soccer player signing a homegrown deal out of University of Virginia. Kevin O'Toole maybe will have a similar opportunity to do so in his career. He's committed to Princeton University to join New York Red Bull 2 alumni Henry Martin, a native of Montclair, New Jersey. Don't forget to check out the USL on Instagram and Twitter to get all your match highlights as well as updates. The stretch run coming down the line here. I talked a little bit about what's going on in the Eastern Conference, and a lot of the potential matchups are pretty much figured out going into the playoffs. The Western Conference, absolutely the opposite. 6 points between first place and sixth place as Schmoll gets the block on the shot. So a lot to follow in the stretch run in the Western Conference. See Jarvis get the shot there. As we come back to play, Metzger makes the tackle, finds the feet of Allen, and he's not able to keep possession. Final 10 minutes of the first half here. New York Red Bulls 2 with a 1-0 lead, on the verge of setting the record for wins in a USL season if they can hang on to this. They are also, with 2 games remaining, 2 clean sheets behind tying the record that Rochester Rhinos set last year with 17 clean sheets in one season. So New York Red Bulls 2, something to try and hang on to there. Heichel Yaris will take this one. Yaris, 1 goal so far this season. Just his 3rd start here. Rainish with the punch. A chance to hit it off the volley, and hit it he does. That one goes flying into the fan section.
He hit it clean.
Good power.
You could hear the sound of how clean the hit was. It just wasn't anywhere near frame. But it's a good look. I would rather have a guy go for that first-time hit than try to bring it down and play out of that situation, because that's where a lot of the counterattacks happen. That's where the dangerous stuff happens, where guys start to step out, press that ball, you make a mistake, and now the other team is counterattacking with 3 guys with numbers. And
FC Montreal have definitely relaxed over the last 10 minutes, Heath, and gotten more possession, looked pretty even in the run of play. They just haven't been able to get one final chance, maybe that last pass in the final third.
Yeah, we're starting to see Bellew get a little bit more involved in the game. You saw that chance where he came across and set up a guy where Schmoll had to come out and make a play, make a stop on top of the box. But starting to see those attackers stretch the defense a little bit, play a little more dynamically. And like you said, they're starting to settle down, find their game, and realize that, hey, we can play with these guys. We shouldn't just be sitting back and hoping for the best.
New York working doggedly to try and keep it in the Montreal half, and eventually New York Red Bulls 2 earning a throw-in down this left-hand side. O'Toole, Bezecourt, along with Metzger and Najem doing some strong work defensively. Bellew heads this one on, and Metzger takes it down. Dan Metzger tore his ACL last season. Worked so hard to get all the way back this season. Was a USU 23 prospect, potentially for Olympic qualifying, and has been able to work himself back into form. A couple of USL Team of the Week appearances this year. He's been a great story for this New York Red Bulls 2 side. As Brandon Allen sprays this one wide into the path of O'Toole. Charbonneau clears it up the field. It was a good idea from Bellew, and it almost falls in the end to Jaris before none other than Dan Metzger makes the tackle. The USL playoffs are coming to Red Bull Arena. The date and time TBA, but stick to NewYorkRedBulls.com and USLSoccer.com for all of the news and notes. Make sure to come out here and watch one of the most exciting teams in the country right now. As Tim Schmoll is down, taking that knock. So the first yellow card of the game issued to Heichel Jaris here in the 41st minute.
It's been a pretty clean match so far between both teams. So there hasn't been much to report in terms of the physicality, but it has been a two-way match, and you can tell players are playing pretty physical. But it's always nice to see a clean match from time to time.
FC Montreal facing off against their rivals Toronto FC2 recently. That game ended in a little bit of a brawl. Marco Dominguez suspended for 5 games. Out of that one, he's still suspended for this game. Could be a part of the reason why it's been such a clean game. But it has been so far. Well played between these two sides. That clearance falling to Dia. Amadou Dia. He's able to get by Metzger in the midfield. Metzger may be a little fortunate not to get that foul called against him as the referee plays on. O'Toole reading that pass and cutting it out. Kevin O'Toole got his first career professional soccer start against Charleston just about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and looking like a whole new player here today.
I think that was actually a pretty smart little foul from, or potential foul from Metzger. He's a guy that clearly understands the game enough to know that if I allow this guy to get past me now, there's a counter-attacking opportunity. And I might get a yellow card for this foul, but I'm going to kill the game here before anything dangerous comes of it.
FC Montreal pushing into the attack. Bellew now. Trying to get by O'Toole, showing off a little bit of footwork, and then switches the field, but to the wrong team. It's Etienne Jr. Picks up the ball. Etienne Jr. not called up for World Cup qualifying for the Haitian team in the last round of qualifying in September. Not a lot of overseas players were called up, mainly a Haitian league-based roster. And I mentioned he's on the 30-man list for the Caribbean Cup qualifiers coming up for Haiti against St. Kitts and Nevis to try and get a spot in the next Gold Cup competition. New York Red Bulls 2, an early goal through Brandon Allen after a couple big opportunities for Derek Etienne as well as Florian Velo to open up play. FC Montreal's had some looks back the other way since the goal, but that lone strike from that man, the only difference so far. Heath, we thought there'd be goals with what FC Montreal's conceded so far in the season, although they've been much tighter over the last 7 or 8 games. And, of course, New York Red Bulls 2 playing very confident. What have you seen so far between these two teams?
Well, these last 20 minutes especially have been good from FC Montreal. They're starting to have a system. You're starting to see those outside backs get into the attack a little bit, overlap. The midfield's starting to control the game a little bit more, open the game up. They're starting to find balls in the pocket. So
Derek Etienne Jr. is onside here. He's got a ton of space on the far side. FC Montreal try to chase him down. Etienne Jr. puts the shot over the top. A big head start there, Heath, on the ball from Bezecourt. And Etienne Jr. now his second big look of the half, and he hasn't scored.
it's a huge look for him. He's had 2 big chances. He should definitely have at least a goal. But sometimes it's a little bit harder when you get that much of a head start. You're starting from the half line, and that's when your thought process starts, right? You're not having this individual single thought of I'm going to slot it here or there off of one touch. You're dribbling from the half line, making sure you're taking a good touch, keeping that distance from you and that first defender, and then by the time you get to the end of it, your legs are a little bit more tired. Not to give him all the excuses because he was on a breakaway. He should have done more with it, at least put it on frame and force a save. But sometimes starting from that half line can be quite difficult.
Credit to Tomas Meyer Guieri for running him down and putting that little bit of additional pressure on maybe to force the shot. As Charbonneau's touch goes long and Carroll goes back to the goalkeeper. Closing minute of regular time here in the first half. New York Red Bulls 2 leading. Coach Wolenek, have a couple of comments for our officials. It's been a pretty simple game. No use of replay so far out on the field. Of course, every play is checked by the VAR. And he then, if he sees a potential clear error in one of the 4 categories that's allowed to be reviewed, Hilario Grajeda will reach out to Soren Stoica, tell him what he sees, and Soren Stoica has the option to then review it. Well, that's the end of the first half. New York Red Bulls 2 with a 1-0 lead over FC Montreal. Brandon Allen with the lone goal as we head into halftime. We'll be back with first half highlights and second half action here on NewYorkRedBulls.com.
I'm pretty excited going into halftime and looking forward to the second half where we can maybe start to play a little bit more of our style.
New York Red Bulls 2, Brandon Allen leading New York Red Bulls 2 with 14 goals on the season. Halftime substitution coming, Noah Powder, it looks like, is going to check in place of Tyler Adams. So 45 minutes for Tyler Adams at fullback. Heath, what do you think?
I thought he was good. I thought he was really, really active early on in the match. He kind of faded out, and that wasn't for his fault necessarily as much as it was the game flow. But I thought that he was good. I thought he showed a few glimpses of getting forward. I think he was challenged a couple times defensively that I think he could have done better on. But overall, a solid outing for him.
Noah Powder now coming on here for his 17th appearance of the season. He had a big last couple of weeks, 2 goals in one game. Heath, we know you're a fan of the Noah Powder game. Excited to see him now right back.
I'm excited to see him at right back. I haven't seen him at right back yet, so I'm excited to see him play in this match from a different position because I know that he is my kind of left back, left midfielder. But let's see how he does. Versatility is a major thing at the highest level, so it'll be interesting to see how he does as a two-sided outside back.
FC Montreal will be the ones to kick it off here for the second half. Montreal making a couple substitutions of their own. Lincor Joseph coming on in midfield, it looks like, in place of Heikel Jaris. We'll get you all of the updates as they are given to us. Heath, you mentioned New York Red Bulls 2 have to be happy with what they saw and did in the first half. What about on the flip side for FC Montreal? 1-0 down. We showed the chances they gave up, but only 1-0. A few looks as the half wore on. What do you think Philippe Oulifoy was saying at halftime to this team?
I would say start the second half the way you finished. They were strong. Aside from that breakaway that they gave up where they were a little bit disjointed and not communicating to make sure that they had that balance on the weak side, but do what they did in the last 20 minutes of the half. Play confidently, play calm. Don't feel like they have to play direct all the time. Start to build through their midfield, which when they've had their success, they've been able to go through Goyette in the midfield, their captain, and he's been able to kind of change the ball to the weak side. If they can do that, I think that they're going to hopefully at least put on an entertaining second half.
We're looking for goals here in this second half. Lincor Joseph, I mentioned, coming in here. Looks like maybe a like-for-like change with Heikel Jaris going into that attacking midfield role. Etienne Jr. with the phenomenal back pass. Now Bezecourt off to the races. He's got 2 players running down the middle. Bezecourt gets away from one tackle, goes to the end line, cuts it back. Diaw with the touch. And then Florian Valot blasts the shot wide of the frame, Heath.
This is exactly how they wanted to start the second half. Get behind the back line. Bezecourt does a great job. He had a few opportunities to cross that ball behind an unsettled back line early on, but he gets it across. Center back just sets that ball up for Valot, and unfortunately, he blasts it over the bar.
New York Red Bulls 2 have created some good opportunities. We have not seen finishing that I think Coach Wolnick will be very happy with throughout this game for this team. That may have been the clearest chance that's been missed.
Yeah, actually, the only goal we've seen was truly a half chance today, whereas they've had 3 clear chances to score goals. They weren't half chances. They were clear looks on goal. 2 good looks from Etienne, and now this chance that was sailed over the bar. I'm sure that Wolnick's going to be pretty upset about that should the scoreline change in the coming minutes.
So just like we saw in the first half, a big opportunity for New York Red Bulls 2 right out of the whistle that FC Montreal is able to avoid. Montreal still within touching distance. Michael Salazar doing work down that side. Allen coming back to his own goal. He draws the free kick. Brandon Allen taking over exclusively as that center forward, Stefano Bonomo, who spent some time in that position as well, especially last season when he signed on with the team in the middle of the summer. He's on the bench, as is Zumana Simpara. Play on, says the referee, and Bezecourt shot pulled wide. Maxime Crépeau, probably the happiest person on the field to see Velo's shot go wide. This is the third soccer game of the day here at Red Bull Arena. 2 high school games for local Harrison High School played, both girls and boys soccer earlier today. New York Red Bulls 2 will be hosting the playoffs. Waiting on the opponent to announce the time and date of that game. O'Toole's touch just a little bit too long. Charbonneau with the touch. Heath, I didn't notice until this second half, zooming in on Charbonneau, but an incredible mustache there for a player playing out there at right back in Charbonneau, who's still quite young at 21 years old. Impressive facial hair, though.
I've always prided myself on a good mustache, so.
Oh, really, Heath? I don't think anyone knows that.
No, but I have a lot of respect for that. If you can grow a good mustache, you should have a good mustache. Like, you should have it all the time, so.
Charbonneau now caught up field a little bit. Brandon Allen trying to get in behind him. Heath, what is it with players? The hair, facial hair, the mohawks, the blonde. Is it just that players have too much time on their hands?
No, they're influencers, you know.
They're influencers in the space?
They're sports and social influencers. So they're always, soccer players are on the cutting edge of all things trendy. Actually, maybe even ahead of the trend at times.
Which might even be off trend when you're
Yeah.
so far ahead.
Exactly. But I think I like guys being themselves, expressing themselves, and
Velo's cross just too far for Etienne Jr. These New York Red Bulls 2 attackers starting to link up more and more here in the opening minutes of this second half. Heath, it's been impressive to watch the ability as we get a zoom
There
in
it
now.
is.
Yeah.
that's what you were talking about. That's
yeah, you
incredible.
had no idea what I was talking
No,
about.
I mean, I was visualizing it, but it.
You pictured hair on top of a
yeah,
lamp.
Yeah, it wasn't nearly as cool as it actually turned out to be.
I was going to say, the interchange for New York Red Bulls, too. They have 3 attackers plus Brandon Allen in front of them. It seems like they're all comfortable. And you mentioned when he has the ball where I should be, they all seem to know how to react on different parts of the field. It's been one of, I think, the most impressive parts of this team over the course of the season.
I think we've seen a clear evolution in their style of play and their system. It wasn't that their systems changed from earlier in the year. It's just that they all seem to understand it now. They start to understand not only what the system is, but how each of these players play.
Bezecourt's free kick played in. Schmoll gets a touch to it. The save by Crépeau. What a save, Maxime Crépeau diving out as Tim Schmoll gets a touch from inside the 6 and makes the save.
That's a great point-blank save. Even though it's just to the right of his body, to get in front of that, to make that play, to stay calm, set your feet, it's fantastic.
Tim Schmoll looking for his second goal of the season. Probably thought he had it, as a free kick will go in favor of Montreal. Quickly taken and sprayed wide there by Mastanabel. Charbonneau losing out. And now Balu taken it away by Etienne Jr. Bezecourt clips it up for O'Toole. O'Toole goes by the defender. Temgia over to cover. Fortunately for Montreal, as he was the last player back there. And now O'Toole pushed all the way high up the field.
Bezecourt's a guy that I've actually been impressed with today. He's been extremely calm on the ball, good left foot, likes to play possession attacking style, which I'm a fan of. And I've just been pleasantly surprised for him. He's been involved in a lot, and I like his attempts to go forward. I like the way he looks at the game and the style that he tries to play.
It's interesting for me as I cover college soccer in this area. A lot of these guys, they look more comfortable out here at a higher level than they do in college, and it seems like connecting with players who see the game similarly, even though they're getting less touches as Noah Powder rips the shot, they look more and more confident and comfortable out on the field.
It's a full season for them. They're playing against better players, so naturally their level is going to go up. These are not necessarily for FC Montreal, but in this league, a lot of some of the top players that played at the college level, except they're now in this concentrated environment, and it's bringing out the best of them. And like you said, after a season of playing with other quality players.
Cross played in, headed on by Velo, and Florian Velo finally gets the goal. Big chance in the opening minutes of the second half, and now the relief for the Frenchman as he's able to put this one in the back of the net. The corner kick from Derek Etienne, Florian Velo. His third goal of the season, rising up and nodding this one, Heath, to that far post.
Just doesn't get tracked to that near space. Obviously, they pulled 2 men out, which usually pulls that near space guy out to the short corner, leaves him free to go into that near space. But that space, all credit to Velo there. That's a very difficult place to redirect the ball on frame and to put your head into a space that there might be a lot of bodies, might be a lot of feet, might be a lot of contact in there. So it's a great finish.
So official confirmation to Velo. Derek Etienne Jr. hits 6th assist of the season. What a year it's been for the young Haitian attacker. Florian Velo, instant impact since coming over to this team. 3 goals now and 4 assists. Just being picked up midway through the season. Charbonneau now charging back the other way. New York Red Bull 2, you'd have to say a deserved 2-0 lead right now, Heath.
Yeah, they've been by far the better team. It could have been 5 or 6 in this match of clear chances on goal. And if you saw in that last play, by the way, Noah Powder pinched in, very far in, which is something that I think he struggled with in the past, is making sure he stays inside when those balls are coming through, and he pinches in perfectly there and makes that play on the counterattack.
Don't forget to go to uslsoccer.com for all your news, notes, standings, and scores throughout the close of this USL season. Just 2 weeks left as we head towards the postseason. And all matches, of course, can be found on the USL YouTube channel. Heath, if you could you have a 30-minute show just breaking down fullback play every single week?
Not just fullbacks. I'd talk about center backs too.
Oh, you talk about
holding midfielders. Your defensive blocks is what I would like to break down because
Balu gets this ball down the left side. The shot comes away. Jackson getting a touch at the near post, and it'll go out for a goal kick. Balu running over to take a corner, but will not get the call. Velo now with that goal. He's able to force the turnover there on Dia. Goes down the line towards Etienne Jr., who's called offside. So just a defensive block hour, a block of defensive block.
Yeah, defensive block. That would be a great name of a show. But I think that it doesn't always tell the whole story when a guy's one-on-one and gets beat or he's not in the right position. What happened 4 or 5 seconds before that? Where did the play really break down? Where could we have made a foul or killed the game, or where should another player on the field be? And that's why in training you see a lot of times you very rarely work in one-on-one scenarios. You might have one-on-one training, but you have that cover from your center back of saying, okay, if he gets past him, you step into this space. So you start to work in unison and find that rhythm with the other players on the field.
When you played, especially at fullback, you have your assignment of who's going to be in your area. Do you take it as a one-on-one personal battle, or is it a team concept of I'm defending against the New York Red Bulls as the Montreal Impact, or the other way around since you played for everyone?
Well, it's more of like
Etienne Jr. gets the shot away.
It's as much as it is your individual battle, it's more of this two-way game with him, right? The game for outside backs now is such a two-way position to where if I can run him all day long and force my...
Dia able to get in and knock that one away.
If I can force my winger to have to chase me down the sideline all day long while I'm attacking, that could be what wears him out and neutralizes him to come after me. So it's more than just winning your defensive battle against the guy you're playing against, but more of the overall battle of like, did I win this part of the field today no matter who's on it?
It'll be Bezecourt this time to take it from the right side. New York Red Bulls 2 scoring off their last corner kick. Etienne Jr. linking up with Florian Velo. Bezecourt curls this one in. Carroll and Salazar go up for it, and it goes off of Salazar and out for another corner kick. So now Etienne Jr. will get a second shot at it. You can see some of the Red Bull 2 players warming up back behind that goal. Stefano Bonomo, Zumana Simpara getting ready to potentially come on. Etienne Jr. will take this one. Carroll heads it back into the box, still alive. Montreal clears, but only as far as Noah Powder. Metzger out wide. Metzger trying to find a way to cross. A collision, a slide, and it rolls out for a goal kick in favor of FC Montreal. Substitution coming here. So it looks like Amadou Diaz's afternoon is done. Dia, I mentioned, coming over in the trade with Sporting Kansas City, yet to appear for the Montreal Impact, getting the opportunity to play here. And one of the exciting young kids, Zachary Secunda, comes on for FC Montreal. He's been one of the most consistent players on the team out of Ottawa. Jackson's trying to get on the end of that one, but Rainish will clear it. Zachary Secunda now his 32nd appearance on the year. He's got over 20 starts. He started at fullback and in the midfield. Etienne Jr. able to win the throw-in. Don't forget to follow the USL on Twitter and Instagram for all your match highlights, as well as standings and scores. New York Red Bulls 2 securing their first trophy just 2 years into the franchise's history, or the club's history, with the potential for one more if they can win USL Championship. Rochester Rhinos doing both last year, hosting the LA Galaxy 2 in the final, as well as winning the regular season in much different style. I mentioned the shutouts. Rochester Rhinos, though, a team that would eke out 1-0 wins, New York Red Bulls 2, multiple games in 1 week with 5 goals this season. They have done it, as you see Coach Wolnick, in both ways. They've won games 1-0 and 2-1. They've won games 5-1 and 5-0. It's been a pretty special season for this team.
We've discussed different themes throughout the season of where the team needed to improve, and every time we did that, they seemed to rise to that occasion and meet the standard of our expectations, which has been a really exciting thing because we not only are we seeing players.
Jackson turns and gets the shot, and Rainish is able to keep it in front of him.
Not only are we seeing players develop, but we're also seeing them achieve goals along the way, which has been a pleasure to be part of.
New York Red Bulls trying to build from the top down. Ollie Curtis and Jesse Marsh coming here and talking about the club and what they're looking to put together. This USL team, a big part of what Ollie Curtis wanted to establish. It's already paid dividends. We mentioned Sean Davis and Aaron Long and Alex Mule at the first team level. It's been a big part of the Champions League run that they've gone on so far. For the first time ever in New York Red Bulls history, they clinched a quarterfinal spot, moving into the next round. Charbonneau coming forward here. The tackle made by O'Toole. And now O'Toole looking to push back the other way.
And here's the thing I like, by the way, about the way this system has worked out for the Red Bull 2 is if you're a club that's trying to bring in a young talent and convince him that you'll be getting matches, you'll be developing, and you'll be connected to the first team, is this not the perfect testament to that system? Is that not the easiest recruiting tool to bring young homegrown players or to sign players long-term, knowing that, look at the success we've had, there's players that are starting here and moving into the first team and having success?
I'm convinced.
I'm convinced.
Sign me.
Yeah.
So Alessandro Rigi coming on, 6 goals so far this season. And it looks like Conrad Pleva making his home return after the scary moments he had, suffering a stroke after a New York Red Bull 2 away game. He's been able to fully regain that health. He made his return on the road and now getting a chance to play back at home. He's the all-time leader in minutes for New York Red Bulls too, and he comes on in place of Tim Schmoll. It looks like we'll have to see what he does. Pleva spent time at midfield, fullback, and center back for this team, and it looks like he's going to go in like for like with Schmoll. Aaron Long gone for the season, so Carroll, Pleva, Schmoll, they're going to be the ones who have to maintain this back line at center back. What do you think of the performance so far tonight?
I think it was a solid performance. I think they did, when called upon, they made the plays that were necessary. That's winning balls in the air. That's challenging. They didn't really get challenged all that much on the ground in terms of having to really stop plays. But we didn't notice them, and that's always a good thing when you're a center back.
Velo coming across here, and the save made. Crepeau making his second big-time save of the game. Florian Velo trying to double up his goal-scoring tally, and the kick save for the young Montreal goalkeeper.
It's a great save. Crepeau's been fantastic today. He's been probably the only player that I would say at this point for FC Montreal that's been on the standard with the way that Red Bull 2 have been playing over this match, and he's been the only one keeping this game really tight.
Crepeau making his international debut with Canada against the United States last year in a friendly. He was the full-time goalkeeper in Olympic qualifying for Canada heading into the Rio Olympics. And he has, as you said, absolutely been up to the test so far tonight. Balu pushing it wide. The new man, Rigi, trying to get his goal. He gets the shot away, and it's wide of Rainish's post. But Alessandro Rigi immediately showing his offensive impetus coming off the bench in this game.
Yeah, Rigi's a player that was another guy that I spent time with. He had just come to Montreal. He was just training with the team. He was coming back from playing for, I believe, Celta Vigo B. Was it Celta Vigo B or Real Betis? Celta Vigo B? Yeah, and he was an extremely talented player, a very true number 10 type, very technical on the ball, quick in small spaces, great first touch. I'm interested to see what kind of impact he can have on that game because he can be a game changer. But I believe he's coming back from a little bit of a knock this season, a little bit he's had an injury.
9 goals last year, 6 goals this year. Both strong numbers for a team, especially that struggled to score. As Etienne Jr. is called offside, and he's a guy that we've heard stories, Canada and the U.S., young players going over, taking shots at academies in Europe. Not guaranteed. A lot of guys go over, not as many make it. We've seen some players, guys like Sebastian Lletget, come back and go straight into MLS and get time. Cody Cropper just doing it as well. But these affiliates give another opportunity for players like David Najem, who went over, played in the 5th division in Germany, came back. Now he has a chance to maybe prove himself. There are more opportunities for a player like that.
Right. I mean, the enticing part of going to Europe.
Brandon Allen trying to make it his second goal of the game. He pulls it back, now trying to find a teammate. Lays it back to Etienne Jr. Over to Najem. Najem cuts it back to Allen. Allen's shot is blocked from the middle of the box. New York Red Bull 2 now working it around at will, around that FC Montreal box. Can they get that third goal, though, and put the nail in the coffin? Etienne Jr.'s shot is blocked. And it'll roll out for a corner kick.
It's a great series of attacks from Red Bull 2. I think they need to have a little more emphasis on bringing that attack to a conclusion.
You want the shot.
I want the shot. Take the shot when you have it.
Brandon Allen rounds the keeper. Tough angle. You think he should have taken?
Tough angle. I think that he did the right thing in taking a touch because they were able to recover and block the goal. But you've got to take a chance from there. Either go with power past that first man.
Etienne Jr. puts it in on the far post, and Pleva's header over the top. Bonomo and Pleva getting in each other's way, doing their own defensive work, and FC Montreal escape once again.
You can see Maxime Crepeau there yelling at his teammates because that ball bounces all the way across the goal. A lot of ball watching in there. And you can see his frustration setting in as 4 or 5 players could have gotten their head on that from Red Bull 2, yet none of the FC Montreal guys were anywhere to be found to make that play.
Pushing the attack now. Rigi out wide. Goes by two defenders, cutting in field. Lencourt Joseph picks it up. Now, Secunda, his shot will go wide.
But as I was saying before, the appealing thing for players before when thinking about going abroad was the fact that you had divisions everywhere where you could find where you fit in, right? Were you a fourth division player in Germany? Maybe. But you didn't, if maybe you were a second division, but you had the opportunity to go somewhere and play. Now you have this structure here in the U.S. that's much more appealing for guys, where they can take a chance with an MLS club. They could take a chance playing somewhere, and you know that you have other places that you can get games, other places that you can play if you're within a system, or if you're even just playing at a USL club itself. It's another high-level place to develop your skill.
Ball over the top, put out in front. Balu trying to work his way in, and a free kick will go against the young Canadian player. Balu, top lad of Ivory Coast. Big-time prospect for FC Montreal. And Heath, one of the stories you always hear is, of course, like the Jay Demerit story. You go over, you get a chance to play in a friendly. You get seen by teams. And now with these teams, we've seen USL teams come in here. And Jesse Marsh and Ollie Curtis are at the game. And if you're playing for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds or you're playing for Harrisburg City Islanders, you get a chance to play in front of guys who could maybe sign you to that next level. Or, for example, like FC Montreal and New York Red Bulls, you play in those international friendlies against AS Roma or Club America. And another chance to be seen. So another opportunity for young players in this country, guys like Noah Powder.
Absolutely. I remember when I first started my career, you always had the reserve games. When I was playing in Denmark at the time, you had a reserve game the day after the first team games, and it was for guys who didn't play in the first team, as well as young academy players and you know, a series of different priorities in the matches like that. And we always found it interesting. All the players that played always went to the games. The coaches went to the games because it was a place to see up-and-coming players from your own club as well as other clubs. And like you mentioned, if you're a player from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, same sort of situation, you've got Jesse Marsh at this match watching not just his own players, but he's looking for that next guy who's going to fit into his squad and his system.
Salazar running on here. He's in front of O'Toole. One-on-one with Rainish, and Rainish down and makes the save. The big paw from Kyle Rainish, and he keeps this shutout alive for New York Red Bulls too.
These types of saves, again, he gets in behind the back line. They're a little bit stretched there, but Kyle Rainish makes the save look really easy. But getting down to your right and hitting the ground that quick is a really difficult play. And he did it calmly, collected, and kept the clean sheet going.
Can't really fault Michael Salazar on that opportunity. Gets the ball out in front of him. We saw Etienne Jr. in a similar spot, missed the whole thing. Salazar, a good shot there, just a bigger save.
He forces the goalkeeper to make a play, and a great play it was from Rainish. If that's a different goalkeeper, maybe one that's not as experienced in knowing how to work those angles and know where the best chance of that ball going that could have been a goal.
So an injury right now, it looks like Temgia is down on the field, struggling a little bit with that injury. So the substitution will be made. James Jeffrar will be the player to come on, 22-year-old fullback. So another substitution now made for FC Montreal, this one by necessity. Temgia slowly walking off the field. We saw him grab his foot in a collision with Derek Etienne Jr. earlier in this second half and not quite able to work it off in the end. So it looks like Jeff Rar will check in at center back as a like-for-like change. New York Red Bull 2 looking comfortable in this one. 2-0 lead over FC Montreal, trying to go for 3 wins on the season. And Derek Etienne Jr. with the shot, and gets his goal. The Haitian phenom, Derek Etienne Jr., with a long blast off the volley, makes it 3-0 New York Red Bulls 2.
I like this because it comes off of a long ball, a great header from Brandon Allen just to flick that on, and then you get the second run from that guy, which is what is so frustrating more often than not when that guy doesn't make that second run behind a flick, and everybody's left saying, somebody make that run. He makes that run, and then the strike itself was incredible. Catches Crépeau off of, and that's a great celebration, but catches Crépeau a little bit off of his line, not expecting the play to go to there, and a great finish.
Etienne Jr., his 5th goal of the season, all smiles for him. There isn't a popular celebration in the world that Etienne Jr. doesn't use. First it was the dab, it was the James Harden cooking something up, and now, of course, he takes that one from Greisman. Offside there. We mentioned the breakaway just a few moments ago that he struggled to take. This the opposite. Not much time to think about it. He gets over that ball, and a fantastic shot from him.
Hits it perfectly on its way down, gets the top spin on it, and it drops right behind Crépeau, who is just left stranded, and there's nothing he could do about it. I'm also under the I believe that if Crépeau was in the right position, he probably wouldn't have been able to make that play anyway. It's a fantastic strike.
Balu now trying to match it on the other side. Looking to get by Powder. He does. Cuts it back. The shot taken from the top of the box and just wide. It looked like it snuck in that far post. Kyle Rainish still sitting on that shutout.
It's a good play from Balu there to start that attack. He gets down to the end line. You can see he's still very, very raw, very young, not always knowing what to do when he gets into those positions. But he's patient. Second time he goes at him, he gets behind him, puts a good ball to the back post, and they get a chance out of it.
This match, as all USL matches is available live free in NHD on the USL YouTube channel. You can also catch the USL playoffs on the USL YouTube channel. This ball over the top. Bonomo's onside, one-on-one with Crépeau. He cuts by him, and Soren Stoica is going to point to the spot, and a penalty kick coming here for New York Red Bulls 2. Stefano Bonomo taken down by Maxime Crépeau. Now, of course, this play is all penalty kicks, should be penalty kicks, goals could be goals, and straight red cards will be checked by our video assistant referee if he believes there's a clear error of some sort. Currently talking to Soren Stoica. He can then recommend a review, and Soren Stoica can then decide if he wants to go to the video review area over at midfield and watch it. So the call made on the field was a penalty kick. Now he's speaking to the VAR. In this match, it's Hilario Grajeda. The two worked together in opposite roles in the last game. And it looks like we will play on. So the call on the field will stand. Stefano Bonomo will step up to this one. Bonomo draws the foul, and now facing off one-on-one with Crépeau to make it 4-0 for the New York Red Bulls 2. Bonomo approaches the right-footed shot, and he pulls it wide. Bonomo looking for his 5th goal of the season, and he can't quite find that far corner.
You got to put those on frame. It's a penalty. I know the score line is what it is, but you're getting a chance on goal. You created that yourself. You owe yourself a goal on that opportunity. You got to put it on frame. At least force a save from the goalkeeper.
So 78th minute substitution. The Malian U17 international Zumana Simpara checking on. Vincent Bezecourt out of St. Francis Brooklyn University. He comes out. And Heath, I think another bright appearance for Bezecourt in this one.
I was really excited the way he played. I thought that he was active on both sides of the ball. He looked busy. He looked quick. He looked sharp. He has a good left foot. I like his little quick combination of touches in the midfield. And I think that he should leave this game feeling like he did all that he had to contribute to the win today.
Sampara now will get a couple minutes to show what he can do. Sampara an opportunity to get some more playing time with Junior Fleming's injury. Sampara, there's been great stories coming out from New York Red Bulls that he's shown up to first team training when not invited to just be an extra body, to just try and be involved, to try and get playing time. Coming over here alone from Mali, just 17 years old as Etienne Jr. floats this one in. But doing what he has to do as a young kid, Heath, to be seen by the coaches and to improve every single day.
That's the stuff they make movies about, you know. It's really impressive. It's very rarely do you see that type of willingness to take their career in their own hands in terms of just like, I just want to be an extra body. Just put me anywhere on the field to soak up this type of atmosphere and this experience.
Sampara running on. Charbonneau puts it out. So Bezecourt, Velo, pulling the strings in the attack once again here tonight. And those two will get an opportunity to rest a little bit. O'Toole with the throw in. New York Red Bulls 2 here in the final 15 or so minutes of the 2016 regular season at home. One more game left to play on the year for New York Red Bulls 2. Is now a little conversation going on. Soren Stoica calling over to try and keep things from exploding. We said it's been a pretty clean match played. Crépeau, of course, called for the penalty kick, but not a very dangerous foul on it.
This is where things can start to get a little bit ugly, though. Obviously, the score line is quite a large one to overcome for FC Montreal. The frustration starts to set in. They've been, you know, most of these guys have been out on the field the whole game, and nothing's really gone their way. They haven't really had a whole lot of opportunities, and it's very easy to lose your cool and start to try to make this game personal.
Regi's touch is long. Bonomo able to keep himself behind midfield, so he's onside. He's got one defender to beat in the goalkeeper. He takes the early shot, and Crépeau down and makes the save. FC Montreal playing a very high line as they push forward. Heath here in the second half. New York a couple breakaways from the midfield line. They haven't really been able to put them away.
They haven't. That was more of a half chance from where he shot it from. But it's a good look to get behind the back line. If they're going to stretch themselves out and take chances, that's where you want to start to punish them, right? You want to have those counter-attacking opportunities and really, really execute. They haven't been able to really execute those chances, but their willingness to go forward there and see when those opportunities arise has been pretty good from Red Bull 2.
Metzger drops this one back. New York Red Bull 2. The USL regular season champion. No one more excited than New York Red Bull 2 #1 fan, Bradley Wright Phillips. I don't think I've seen anyone at more games than Bradley Wright Phillips. He's a super fan. I think that's what you'd call it.
You need those super fans. You know?
That's the glue of a club, of a community.
No, but we joke about that, right? But how cool
awesome.
How cool is that for these guys to know that arguably the most dominant striker in Major League Soccer over the last 3 seasons watches them play? This is not just another guy either. This is part of the Wright family, you know. This is son of legend Ian Wright. This is
and
Sean Wright Phillips'
the games too.
brother. This is like from a royal soccer family, so to speak. And these guys know everybody, and they know the game, and they come out to see you play. That's got to be pretty motivating for these guys who I'm sure used to watch either Ian Wright or Sean Wright play Champions League games and things like that.
Or Bradley Wright Phillips play championship games.
Championship game, but I'm saying like it was a lot easier for a lot of these guys to see
Sean
Champions League games,
yeah.
or old Arsenal matches, things like that. And then more importantly, to grow up in a club where a guy who's had this type of success
and
career resurgence type of success is pretty amazing. So,
yeah, no, you see them play a Major League Soccer game and then come back to the arena to watch the young players play. They train next to each other every day. They train against each other quite often, and you can see a relationship, and it's got to be special to have mentors and guys that you can ask questions to and learn from.
Yeah, and it's the same sort of thing on the other side with Balu, like we said, Ivory Coast kid, who now
he trains with
gets
Didier
to
Drogba.
train with Didier Drogba, which is, in terms of an ideal scenario for a player to develop and idle their game off of, he gets to play with probably the greatest Ivorian player of all time.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. O'Toole coming up from his left back spot. Simpar squaring it towards Allen, intercepted there by Jeff War.
I really round into my broadcast from around the 85th minute. Start offering
more
you
philosophical,
offering you something to the game.
More deep comments. But we saw the video of Drogba. It was last year. He was in the locker room. He called in all of the academy kids and made them dance and was having fun with them and joking around with them. And you start to understand, it started in 1996. These clubs just popped up, franchises, whatever you want to call them. But now the top to bottom family institutions, and you look at what Sacramento Republic's doing, you look at what FC Cincinnati's doing, you look at what San Antonio's doing. It's not just in MLS, it's in USL that these clubs that have now identities, and the fans and the players and the front offices are all part of it. It's been pretty cool to watch so far. Just about 5 minutes left here in the regular season at Red Bull Arena. We will see this New York Red Bull 2 team once more as Balu goes on another run down the line. He sets up Salazar, and the shot blocked off the line. The shiftiness there of Balu once again. Creating an opportunity. That one cleared off the line. Now, that play, like all plays, will be checked by the VAR, whether there's a handball or any other sort of potential penalty as Simpara takes the shot. And Crépeau stretches out. But a beautiful run here to set this play up for FC Montreal.
He's done it 2 or 3 times this game. He's gotten behind the back line, and I just wish that we would have seen more of this throughout the match, because he is a young talent that's actually been linked with quite a few big clubs around the world. This is a guy that has the ability to take over games. I just wish we would have seen that more. But that comes down to his age and inexperience, right? Drifting in and out of matches, a player of that much talent. But it was an incredible bit of dribbling he put on there. Little show.
So that'll be it for Balu Tabla. We mentioned it, rumors with Manchester City, Arsenal, as well as Chelsea. He played against AS Roma, so he goes out. Jimmy Senyon comes in, coming off that USL Team of the Week performance. And the one thing that I've seen with Tabla and Balu that's been impressive is the ball so close to him that defenders haven't been able to step in, and he hasn't known what he wants to do, but he gets the time to figure it out on the field because he's so shifty. As Jackson heads this one across the face, and Reinisch is able to take it in front of Salazar's feet, but so shifty that he's able to keep defenders at least distance from him.
Yeah, when you watch him, it's almost like he has too many ideas in his head. Like you said,
right.
he's kind of hesitant as to what should I do. Do I want to dribble and do tricks, or do I want to be functional, go at this guy and get behind him? And once he finally makes his mind up.
Those have to be separate? They can't be the same?
Well, they've got to be one single thought then. If I want to go at this guy, I've either got to have the move that I want or just touch and run and get behind him. Because when he finally makes his mind up, when he finally makes that decision, you know what, I'm going to go at him, he's gotten behind the defender every time.
Pleva here in a challenge with Jackson. Jackson Hamel, 9 goals so far this season with FC Montreal. At times, Heath, in this game, living off some scraps, not really getting as many touches as he would like. But he's shown his ability when he's gotten around the box and on the ball, and you can see his size and athleticism and what has Montreal so excited about him.
Yeah, when he signed with the Impact, they signed him one day and he made his debut the next. And yes, there was a lack of depth in the squad at that time. But for a young player, he showed his ability to step up and take that next step, and actually did well in his opportunities. And you can see right away, yes, he hasn't gotten the ball much or in dangerous positions, but he knows where he needs to be in order to make an impact. Play on words there. That was accident. That was accident. That was accident.
Thanks for the explanation.
That was an accident.
Rigi gets the ball out wide. He goes by the first defender, trying to go by O'Toole, gets to the end line. Third defender, and Soren Stoica blows the whistle. And pausing now to go over to talk to his assistant referee. And as we mentioned just a few minutes ago, Every play will be checked by the VAR. The potential, if there should be a penalty kick, and it looks like the call is going to be a corner kick. Soren Stoica now with his headset in. But corner kick is the call out on the field. And now Stoica pausing it for a moment.
We do have chance, by the way, of instant replay coming from inside the stadium right now from a few fans.
Chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's exciting stuff. We made history a couple of weeks ago with the first ever reviewed play in the game against Louisville City, leading to a red card and a free kick. So that, a piece of trivia that we can all take home with us and potentially never win bar trivia with. Long punt here to Etienne Jr. Etienne Jr. trying to find a way to turn and go up the field.
This is the part of the match, though, that's actually the most important. Red Bull 2 are winning quite comfortably. There's not a whole lot going on defensively. Now it's just a matter of them keeping the clean sheet, staying strong defensively, staying sound, staying organized. You can see they're 3v3 in the back line, and they don't need to be. They're winning, I know, but when playoffs come, you don't get these types of chances. It could be 0-0, and if you're that vulnerable, you could be giving up a goal late in the match. So these are the types of reps where you want to stay turned on, stay tuned in, and make sure that the defenders are organizing everything in front of them.
So New York Red Bull 2 are going to stretch their unbeaten streak to 9 games, 8 of those victories. They have the potential to move to within 1 clean sheet of tying the season record with what the Rochester Rhinos did last year. With these 3 goals, they've now passed Orlando City of 2014. So New York Red Bulls 2 this year setting the record for points in a season, for goals scored. If they do hold on, will set the record for wins as well in a season, with 1 more game left, in which if they got a clean sheet, they tie the single season record for clean sheets in the USL. It's been a pretty special year for New York Red Bulls too, and it will continue. Go to NewYorkRedBulls.com or USLSoccer.com to see when and who the New York Red Bulls 2 will be hosting in their opening playoff match here at Red Bull Arena coming up in the next few weeks.
Goss, you've been there every step along the way, and I know you don't get the credit, but I don't know if they could have broken all these records without you, man.
Someone had to describe the things that other people were actively doing with skill and ability. I agree, Heath. I definitely agree.
You're a behind-the-scenes guy that doesn't get the credit you deserve, but
Etienne Jr. is going to get the foul called against him as we are a minute and a half in to a minimum of 3 minutes of stoppage time. You see the replay here. Kyle Rainish, it hasn't been a quiet game for him. He's had a lot of work to do. He's made a couple big saves here in the second half, continuing to stay sharp as one of the backup keepers behind Ironman Luis Robles, who it seems like will never miss a game.
that was a good opportunity from Jackson Hamel there to get behind the back line. But Kyle Rainish, again, used the angles, used his experience to make that play there, and is honestly contributing in the way that you expect from him for being the most experienced player on the field.
Rainish now, his second year playing with New York Red Bulls too. Ryan Meir has been the go-to goalkeeper so far this season. Rafael Diaz having another strong year after backing up Santiago Castaño times last year, and this year he stepped in and gotten clean sheets when he's had to. So the final few seconds here at Red Bull Arena. Don't forget to stick to NewYorkRedBulls.com for all your news and notes on this team, as well as that upcoming playoff matchup. Thank everyone part of these productions, as well as at New York Red Bulls, for helping get them done. Long ball played in, and Stefano Bonomo finally gets his goal. He was denied earlier in the game, but his 5th goal off the season, off the volley, 3rd assist of the season for Brandon Allen. And New York Red Bulls 2 are going to put this one away. A 4-0 win over FC Montreal and the final home game of a historic regular season for the USL regular season champions.
Brendan Allen realizes that he's isolated one-on-one with one of the center backs, knowing that all the players are stretched up the field and that he knows Bonomo's likely isolated as well. Clips that ball to the back post, and then Bonomo makes it look easy, but it's an extremely difficult finish on the volley and makes up for his missed chance earlier in the match.
Etienne Jr. missed an early chance, gets the goal later. Velo misses an open chance, gets the goal later. Now Stefano Bonomo, it's the penalty kick, but seals the deal at 4-0 as the New York Red Bulls 2. A historic season continues. They set the record for wins in a USL season with their 20th win of the year to go to 23-6. On the other side, FC Montreal drops to 7-20-2. David Goss and Heath Pierce, it's been a pleasure. Coach Wolinek's side making history again, the clean sheet again. Heath, this is a team going into the playoffs. They lost two big pieces in Aaron Long and Junior Flemings, but they continue to look like a confident, dominant side.
Early in the season, they were getting results, but grinding them out. They didn't look great. They didn't look cohesive, and now they've gotten better as the season has gone on.
Finishing it off here at home with a 4-0 win, Heath. And let's look at the highlights. It got started early on. Maxime Crépeau had a very good game, but still was beaten 4 times. This New York Red Bulls 2 team peppering his goal and that attacking front four looking very, very dominant at times.
It's always good for a team who's playing against a goalkeeper who's that team's man of the match, but they still get 4 past him, right? They were flying on all cylinders by the end of the match, creating a lot of chances and just wearing FC Montreal down, chance after chance after chance. And there's only so much that the goalkeeper was going to be able to do at the end of the day when you're creating chances every 4 or 5 minutes that are clear and cut chances.
Florian Velo, the header here off the corner kick, just minutes after missing what he would say was an easy opportunity. The assist to Derek Etienne Jr., and then Derek Etienne Jr. goes from provider, Heath, to finisher with this gorgeous volley from outside the box off one touch, beating Crépeau for the goal of the game.
Pops up off of his thigh in the perfect position. Great goal celebration, but the strike was fantastic. Hits it clean, doesn't have to strike it hard. Knows exactly where he is on the field and puts it away. And this play right here, you've got Brandon Allen just clips it to the back post, and that's just great awareness from him, knowing that Bonomo's isolated on the back post, sets it up for him, allows him to choose, do I want to bring this down or do I want to hit it first time? He gets over the top of it and skips it into the goal. Fantastic finish.
So New York Red Bulls 2 head to Charleston for the final game of the regular season, and then they return here. Go to NewYorkRedBulls.com or call 1-877-727-6223 to get tickets for the New York Red Bulls 2 first playoff game that they will host. If they win, they will continue to host as the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Well, for Heath Pierce, David Goss, Mike Demmel, and everyone here that's part of this production, thanks so much for taking the time to watch, and stick to NewYorkRedBulls.com for all your New York Red Bulls 2 news.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.